Hello and welcome to the internet's most amazing, awesome, stupefying, and wisest show, Wine and Wisdom. I'm your host, the Matt Kane, and this week, just for you, ladies and gents, we have a very specially curated guest. He's been aging in a barrel for 350 years, straight from Port Clinton. Did I get that right? Port Clinton?
No, but I'll go with it. Port Clinton's a much nicer town.
Sandusky.
Huron.
Straight from Huron, Ohio.
Just say Cedar Point. I live in Cedar Point. That's pretty much where I tell everyone. That's how they're like, where do you live? Just Cedar Point. And just go to Cedar Point. You'll find me. I'm behind the coaster.
Straight from Cedar Point, we have Mr. Chad Knauer. How are you, my friend?
I'm having a wonderful day, sir. And thank you for having me on the show. I am actually a fan of this podcast. I have not heard all of them, but I've heard most of them. It's become one of my favorite. I love listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
During my daily chores and, just when I'm getting things done. And I always like something where I can learn something, explore something. And that's so kudos, sir. And kudos to all your other guests.
Well, hell yeah, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. I'm with you. I love podcasts too. And, like you said, it's about learning and exploring. And really that's what this show is about. This show is first and foremost about learning, trying to become wiser, if you will, meaning trying to peel back the layers of what it means to be a human being and help navigate ourselves in this world, emotionally, intellectually, and probably most importantly, spiritually, and how we can, as people, meet together and grow together and learn from one another. So, and of course, it's also known as Wine and Wisdom. So drinking bottles of vino, and now Chad, you, my friend, you said, hey, do you mind if we have an addendum for this episode? But it works from an alliteration standpoint, it still works. So for Chad, it will be whiskey and wisdom. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, wine gives me the worst heartburn, and I've always been a whiskey man. So
right on. What kind of whiskey are you drinking today?
My spirit for the evening is I got I don't know what pesky rascal got to the other 3/4 of this bottle, but we've got some Lagavulin 16. So a little single malt Scotch from the Isleys of Scotland.
Well, that's excellent. I personally, and don't take this the wrong way, my least favorite type of liqueur. Well, there's a couple other, it might be a tie, but I'm not the biggest whiskey fan. It just never has, for me, has gone down very smooth.
Okay. I'll tell you, if we ever get around making this movie, on our premiere night, we're gonna have a cast premiere. I'm gonna buy a bottle of Scotch, and you and I are gonna take it down. You're gonna be like, Chad, I've been wrong all this time about whiskey. This is what life's about.
I have had a few Scotches in my day. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I haven't had the right one yet. Maybe you're the man to do the job. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, my brand of choice is Lafroig. So if you've ever had Lafroig 10. Okay, then that's the way. If that's no good for you, there's nothing I can do to help you, sir.
We'll find out. And I'll hold you to that one day, my friend. As for myself, I'm drinking one of my favorites. It's been one of my go-tos of late is the good old Dark Horse Cabernet Sauvignon. When you've partaken of the wonderful fermented grapes, Chad, any particular kind that you were drawn to?
Usually I would stick with the white wines. Those they weren't as acidic. I like the flavors of a lot of the Cabernets, but more than a sip, or two, it just it gets it gets the Tums rolling.
Got you. Yeah, I understand that. And that's what's interesting is everybody's different. Everybody's body types, everybody's digestive systems in their the way they absorb certain alcohols. Yeah, it's totally different. So
and the softer spirits, as I've grown older, just don't do it. Like the beers, I just feel bloated. After if I
same here. Same here.
Plus, I like to get drunk, and whiskey is the way to
go. For me, probably well, I shouldn't say probably. Number one is wine. Number two is vodka.
Okay.
I am a big vodka connoisseur. And then number three, I'll partake of a seltzer every now and again.
Say again?
A seltzer. I know I said it kind of
seltzer. Okay.
That's when I'm like in the summer when I'm feeling, kind of fruity.
Gotcha.
But hey, cheers, my friend.
Cheers, sir.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. I better catch up. Cheers, my friend. So let's get into it. Let's grow here. Mr. Chad.
Yes, sir.
Who the hell is Chad?
Chad is the guy that likes to do things that nobody can do. That's my favorite thing in life, is when somebody says, nobody can do that, and then I pull it off. That's a hoot for me. But I'm just a regular dude. I love movies. I got kids. I'm a dad now. And yeah.
So when you say things that you can pull off, are there any certain, what's one thing or one story for our esteemed beauty? And remember, the audience for Wine and Wisdom is only beautiful people. What is one story that you can, give to our wonderful listeners?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll keep it a simple one. I'll keep it on the line of movies, since that's really our ground of how our little friendship has developed over time. I was once told that you could not make a profitable short film. That short films cannot make money. Nobody can make a short film and actually turn around and do something with it. So, nice to meet you. I'm nobody. Here's something.
Yeah,
I'd like to kind of make a critique of as a fan of Wine and Wisdom.
Okay.
One of the things I would like maybe you to think about adding to is, introducing how the person adjacent to you. A lot of times we don't find that out. That's where your friendships have developed, or where you guys met, or
we have done that.
I do it, and sometimes.
Not every time, and probably a couple episodes. We had some repeat guests on, so that would be like retread. But well, we can talk about I guess the genesis of how we know each other, and that is we both know each other from the film industry, the film circuit, if you will. We met on a film set. Actually. At your house.
It was in my garage, and working for a young lady, making a movie with her, and you and I just started a conversation, if I recall, about my poor workmanship as a carpenter and Steven Seagal.
Yeah, I
think that's what we started off, and once we started talking about Steven Seagal, boy, there was no stopping us. There was,
Yeah. Well, you get me talking about that, obese, egomaniacal, feminine running piece of shit. No, well, here's the thing. And we mentioned this too. Like Steven Seagal's run of first 5 movies are, I'll put them up there.
Awesome. I can still watch them anytime.
Oh, me too. And for me, and they still hold up. They're very brutally violent.
Oh, absolutely.
Steven Seagal, let's call it what it is. He plays the same character in every movie. Let's call it what it is.
He plays who he thinks he is.
Yeah, or who his idealized image of who he thinks he is.
Yes.
But they're uber violent. They're gritty. They're real. And it's cool seeing Aikido on the screen. You really hadn't seen that ever.
No, that was the first time we'd ever. Our audience has been introduced to that.
But above the law, hard to kill, marked for death, out for justice, Under Siege. Great run there. Great run of movies, and I'll put them up against pretty much anybody else's first 5 action movies. They're great, and like I said, once a year I'll try to throw in a few of those just to and for me a lot of it's nostalgia. Because my dad, who was a cop, tall, had a similar build as Steven Seagal. He really was like, oh, that's my guy. So I was watching these movies when I shouldn't have been watching them. Probably,
sure. I think we all were.
Yeah, probably. I was probably, when I saw my first Steven Seagal movie, I had to have been probably 6, 7.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa, this guy got his leg blown off. Like, I'm like, oh. So Steven Seagal was one of the very first actually action stars I was introduced to. It was right around the time that I started getting into Van Damme and Bruce Lee. It was all like kind of like dominoes, you know, and then I started really getting into martial arts, and the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, so that's kind of how we bonded. It was like, hey, you
like I love Steven Seagal movies, but I hate the man. I was like, oh, you too.
You too?
I'll drink to that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how we developed a friendship, and you know, Chad's been taking some of my
action for actors, which, you know, it really, this is a great class, guys. Like anybody watching this, and if you're into, you know, if you're an actor, you know, actress, director. I came on as a director. I'm not going to actually be, no one's going to see this beautiful frame, you know, doing martial arts on screen. But as someone who likes to make movies, you know, I want to learn the lingo. I want to learn how to do it, how to work it. And over the course of how long has this been now? 6-7 months?
Yeah, we've been, and I got to say this, kudos to you, my man, for being consistent and hardworking and dedicated. You know, you've made pretty much every single damn class.
It's flown right by. Yeah. So it's hard to believe it's been that long, but yeah, it's been amazing, and I've learned so much.
I appreciate the endorsement and everything you just said. I think we're gonna have to type that out and do a testimonial.
Absolutely, yeah. Put a quote. Just have a picture of me with the bottle, and we're good. Yeah.
But yeah, and you guys can check that out. Go to Paragon, M as in mango, A as in Alfred, F as in Fred. ParagonMAF.com for more details. We do it online, and we actually we're going to be doing it in person again here soon. So we'll be doing it, you know, in conjunction, Chad. So very soon. But yeah, so yeah, Chad is a filmmaker, and I would say that about you first and foremost in the film. I wouldn't say you're this, you're that, you're this. To me, I think you're a filmmaker. Is that something you would agree with?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely.
Because there's people that are like, well, that guy makes
director, actor.
Yeah.
I'm a jack of all trades. I go where I'm needed, and that's how if I had to pick a role, it'd be producer down. You know, I do a little bit of everything. Yeah. You know, I know how to set the lights up to a mediocre degree. I know how to get the cameras running to a mediocre degree. Same with the audio, same with everything else. It's, you know, no master, but well, I love to make film. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. What is it about filmmaking that has allured you, that has drawn you in, and still to this day continues to seduce you? When the sirens of the filmmaning genre, right, of the medium, the artistic medium, when they sing that song, and you were just like, you know, like you remember Pepe Le Pew? You remember how like when a skunk would walk by, a female skunk, and the stink would be in the air. He would lift off the ground. He would lift off the ground like this and like follow them. So what is it about filmmaking that does that for you?
It's been a lifelong passion. Like I got hooked on the high when I was a little kid. Even before I had a camera, I'm talking tiny. I would build little cameras out of Legos because I'm old, so I didn't have the Lego camera that the kids get today. And then my parents, you know, I have awesome parents. So they bought me my first camera, which was, Google this, a PXL 2000, which is the coolest fucking thing, pardon the language.
No, you can cuss.
Okay. It's the coolest fucking thing ever. It was a black and white camcorder. It did not take audio, but it used audio cassettes, like the old audio cassettes from and that was the tape that it would record video on.
The ones that were like this big, were they the smaller cassettes or the bigger?
No, the big full size ones. Gotcha. Like we all had the the Winger one and the Iron Maiden.
And it would record video on that.
On the audio cassette, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I still had it because they go on eBay for like $2,000. Like they're so cool. And we started making movies with whatever I had. My little buddies, come here, we're gonna dress up like Batman. Or sometimes we take the toys and later on my parents bought a VHS camcorder. and that little camcorder had a stop motion feature. So I'd make little videos with my GI Joes, and it's just been ongoing, and I can't stop. And you'll take little breaks here and there, but then you'll be like, oh, I have to tell this story, I gotta make this piece, and it's just fun.
For me, like it's almost like is it The Godfather, where you get out and then they pull you right back,
sucks you right back in. Yeah, there's no out.
Because there's been times where it's like, oh, I'm too busy, I got this and this, or I dealt with bullshit or people that were like, fuck you. And then it's like, and then I go back to that like 8-year-old boy, and I'm like, damn, like this is in my DNA. Like it doesn't matter how much I deny it and push it away, it's gonna come right back. So I know for a fact till the day that I shed this mortal coil that I will be making films 100%. One way or another. I'll be involved and or making them until I'm history.
And you should, you feed it, don't let people tell you not to. And what a wonderful time it is to be involved in this.
Yeah. And that's a great point. And you
10, 20 years ago.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. No, you broke it. You kind of broke up.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. I was interrupting you. My apologies.
Oh, you were saying. No, the last thing I recall saying was this is 10, the best
10, 20 years ago. Yep.
Yeah, 10, 20 years ago, there used to be a filter to get in. Unless you had connections, you could not make film. You could not make art. Maybe you could film something with your buddies with your VHS camcorders, and even if you made good stuff, you couldn't get it out to the world. Now you can, even if it's just posting your product on YouTube. But now we have access to. I mean, we've put things on Amazon. I've had movies on Amazon Prime. And then there's all these streaming services. And the cost of production for physical media has gone down. So we're able to actually make our media and sell it and get it out there and promote it. And that's the big thing. Before the days, how did you find out about movies? You saw the preview or you watched cable television. Now we have the internet, we have the media. We can be like, hey, come look at what we're doing over here. Come peek in our little tent and see if we can give you a little bit of magic today. So what a wonderful time.
You're absolutely right. There's a few things that I want to jump off on that. Number one, you're right. There used to be a cover charge to get into the club. Now, I think about like people that recorded on film, like how hard and difficult that was. There is no excuse nowadays for you to not make something. So when people say, like, oh, I want to make a film or I want to get in the film industry, well, what the fuck's stopping you? You know what it is? You don't have the motivation, because that's it. Because if you want to make something, you'll fucking do it. You have worldwide distribution at your fingertips. You have cheap, affordable, accessible camera. No, it doesn't have to be, a 6K red, whatever.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
All that matters is that you have the fire and you'll get it out there, right? And your first project is going to be utter dog shit. Your second is going to be slightly less dog shit. And from there, it'll improve. I'm still making dog shit. I'm going to try and hopefully make something that's palatable. But the thing is, you're absolutely right that there is no excuse, and we are living in the best time to be a filmmaker because of all those things. So another thing I would say is we all need to have a little more gratitude that, think about our ancestors, grandparents, parents, what they didn't have these luxuries. It's amazing. So for me, that's why I get pissed at people that take things for granted and don't exercise a tremendous amount of gratitude for where they are and what they have.
100%. Yeah, drink. Yeah, toast there, toast. Yeah, I'm old enough. When we first started making, when I was in high school, I met some guys who were also into, the same goofy stuff I was into. And we made a bunch of awesome movies on VHS tape. Now, are these movies that, if we put them out to the world, would they be worth watching? No. These are movies that, if we put them out to the world, would they be worth watching? Yes. These are movies that that the guys that were in it had a great time making it, and we had a great time, watching it, just like a lot of the movies we make today, but we had different technology. We had to build our own editing devices. Wow. We would have to take, we had a stack of VCRs, and then we would run home stereo equipment into these VCRs to get your overdub for your music and your audio and stuff like that. It wasn't, we didn't have, I remember when Windows Movie Maker came out.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. Holy shit. The times have changed.
Yeah, if you look back on it, what a shit program now. But
oh God.
And then all I was gonna say, Chad, is you're like almost one generation above me, not quite, but so I didn't have all the struggles that you had.
Right.
Some of the struggles were real, but when I was about 10 years old when we started making our first movies, just me and some buddies. And what we would do is literally we would hey, here's an idea for a scene, and we would film it, and then here's an idea for another scene, we'd film it. And there was no continuity.
That was our old movies. Yeah, 100%. We'd have these cool little scenes, and nothing.
Yeah.
And then there would just be a series of that.
Because my buddy was the first one in the friend group to get a camera, and it was I don't know, it was a few $1,000s. We'll say that.
Oh yeah. I come from a privileged household, so we had the big VHS bazooka looking thing.
Oh wow.
That's what that was cool.
We had something like that, but it was slightly smaller. It did record on VHS.
Yeah, because you're a little younger, so you had the more hot,
But it's funny. I converted those to digital, and I have them on a hard drive. And they'll never see the light. They'll never see the light of day publicly. But Chad, if you ever want to see, I did a project when I was early high school. I was a freshman in high school. I did a project for one of my classes. Before that, I did a Star Wars parody, and before that, we did a horror-ish, a Monster in the House kind of deal. Those three I have on my hard drive somewhere, and it'd be that's you. Because
dude, we got to have a movie night, because I burned a lot of mine on DVD.
Nice. So yeah. You know what? That sounds like a movie night. Popcorn, a few of spirits, and that just some laughs. Sounds like a great time. So yeah, it's filmmaking. It's one of those things that I can tell that it's a part of who you are, and telling those. And telling those stories, is very important for you.
Yeah, I like to entertain. Yeah. If I can get a laugh, that's usually what I work in, is comedy. Typically, I do B movie mostly because that's my budget. But I love comedy. I like to make people laugh, and because it's an easy way to tell if your movie worked. That's the easy emotion to get out of somebody. If you're watching and they laugh, the joke worked, you sold what you were trying to sell. And
I'll say this, the first movie I ever saw of yours is one that speaking of laughing, I really laughed my ass off. I thoroughly enjoyed. Folks, go check it out. It's called Skeleton Cop.
Sir.
Where can they find this masterpiece?
There's a page on Facebook. Shoot it a message. And we're still selling those DVDs.
Oh yeah.
In fact, well, hell, not one to, I'm not here to advertise or anything.
There it is. Hold that. Look at
we
that.
do have these wonderful DVDs. 32 minutes of ridiculous awesomeness.
I need a signed copy of that, my friend.
The next time we're in person, I got you, buddy. That one right there is yours.
You're the man. So
I just poured a little booze on it, so it'll
now it really is mine.
But it smells like Chad.
Give me your essence, huh? So one other thing too, I want in staying in the milieu, if you will, of film. One thing that I applaud you for is for being a voice of reason and a pillar of dignity and probity, integrity, and strength in the film community. Somebody who has stood up and spoke out against how shall I say, pieces of shit, scumbags, charlatans, people in the community, in the film scene, who are less, how I put this, who are not so good individuals and who take advantage of people.
Yeah, that was definitely an issue. I'll kind of like fill in everybody on what we're kind of talking about here. I had made a post on Facebook. There was some people that I used to work with, and we made films together. And this was before, and long story short, I had a little bit of popularity with that Skeleton Cop movie. And as soon as that happened, these guys flipped the scripts. They started hating. They started sabotaging. And honestly, people even told me when we worked together what pieces of shit they were. And we've talked about bullshit detectors. I have a terrible bullshit detector when it comes to people in general in day-to-day life, because I always think the best of somebody. Even when the Conrad thing blew up, I was like, well, maybe. And then, when everything came out, and I'm like, all right, the guy's a piece of shit and should die. And it was the same with those people. It's just like, maybe they're not so bad. Maybe they're just dorks. And I fell for the pity parties. But after a while, the true colors showed. And it's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. You guys are scumbags. You guys are abusive. The one thing, and that's what hurt me the most on the thing, was the sexual harassment. And that's not cool, because that's something we as, and we've talked about this before. We as men, we feel a duty to protect those. And when we don't go all the way and really do what we do, there's a guilt factor in play.
Yeah. So definitely kudos to you for standing up, because there's a lot of people that.
Thank you, sir.
That because they want to hold their place in line, they won't say anything.
Okay.
And I don't give a fuck. Like,
no, we guys like us, we have our own lines.
Yeah.
Well,
what I was gonna say is, I don't give a shit. Even if tomorrow I had the biggest Hollywood director come to me and say, Matt, you are going to be the next, Jean-Claude Van Damme. You're gonna be the next whatever. And then I find out that he's a piece of shit, that he abuses women or whatever. I'm going to say, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
Because to me, my integrity, and there are things that are clearly more important than me, that are more important than my status, my ego. And helping others is something that we all need to do more of. And we need to have more compassion, more empathy, more understanding of other people and their plight. So I'm not going to sacrifice my morals, my ethics and who I am as a person, just to kind of get ahead a little bit. And you know what? Has that cost me potentially financially? Has it cost me potentially successfully creative in life? I would say without a doubt. However, when my head hits that pillow at night, I sleep so well. And not only that, but like, that's my center. That's my core who I am.
And there, that is a price. There is a price to that. There is a price to be able to look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. And that's all I care about.
I'm okay paying it.
Yep. And this is a saying that I honestly is one of my favorite sayings. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter your status, how popular you are, what you've done, how successful you are. What matters most is how you treat people. And to me, that's the most important thing. And that's all I'm not going to sacrifice who I am to use somebody. That's just it's not in my DNA. I view people as ends in and of themselves, not as a means to an end. And if that costs me, if I don't get ahead because of that, perfect. I am perfectly fine with that.
What is getting ahead?
Yeah, exactly.
All in the race to the grave, man.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's going on behind that. We all have our beliefs. We all have our theories. But at the end of the day, that's where we go. And as of yet, as far as I know, no one's coming back yet to tell the story.
That's right.
So,
and that's the thing is, I immensely enjoy my process. I don't care whether 100 or 100 million see it, view it, care about it. I'm winning because I'm in love, and I'm in love with what I do, and I'm in love with the fact that at the core, right here inside of me, what's here is for me is most important thing, and what's here is something where something that, how do I say this without being egotistical? Something here that's pure and loving. Yes. That's loving.
And that's really what it is.
Yeah, and I see that in you, and I see that in you too, and I think that's why we've developed a friendship, my friend. Yeah. So let's see, where else can we go from here? There's just so much we could really talk about. Couple topics. One thing.
Oh, you're breaking up. You are breaking up.
Oh, okay. We're live, folks. This is what happens.
Okay. There's no turning back now. All right.
Can you hear me, Chad?
I can hear you well enough. We got this. Let's roll.
If you need headphones or something, you can pop them in.
No, it's just you were just getting a little audio delay. But
am I good now?
You're good now, sir.
Maybe those people that we were talking about they're listening in.
Yeah, they were looking so angry at the screen
because there's so much positivity.
And that's something that, it was a surprise to me with getting even just a smidgen of success. And I'm not trying to hoot my own horn. I'm not trying to blow smoke on my own ass. I'm talking this much, a molecule of success is how quick the haters come for you.
If you were building the tallest skyscraper in the city, would you want to build one that's higher? Would you want to go to build one that's higher than the person next to you, or would you want to tear theirs down so that yours is higher?
Right, exactly. Yeah, obviously you want to just build it higher.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going. But there's, but I see what you're saying.
And I've never understood that notion of there's only so much happiness to go around. If I make a project, if I make a piece of art, whatever the fucking medium is, it's not in competition with you. It's not in direct I don't understand that. Well, no, I can't promote this because I make a movie.
I can't succeed unless you fail.
Right.
That mentality.
Where that stems from, Chad, is with these people that have fragile egos and they have a fragile self-image, and they need to constantly feed it to feel like something. Whereas people like you and I feel like we know who we are. We're comfortable in who we are, in love with who we are, and we don't have this fragile self-image that needs to constantly be stoked.
Yeah.
So we are comfortable in our footing where we can say, hey, awesome, check this out, without it taking away from our happiness.
Absolutely. And I can be happy for other people too. And that's people hate people. Yeah, I love it when somebody I know succeeds, because so many don't. We all have 100 tragedies of people we know.
Yeah.
Hundreds and thousands aren't here today.
Yeah.
But that's, and so I find glory in, hey, somebody I know made it. Somebody I know is doing well. And that gives me joy. That gives me pride, because it's like, oh, there he is, man. There he's doing it. He's getting it.
And
a lot of people aren't like it.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. And yeah. So I feel like, we as people just need to, rising tide lifts all boats. We need to help each other out, promote, unless you're a piece of shit, that's different. But help each other out, help each other grow. And that's, and there's enough, I promise you guys, there's enough love and happiness.
There is. Around. Yeah, there's never been too much happy. Who's been like, oh, that's enough happy for me. I've had my fill today. No, I've never heard that.
Never. So one topic I want to talk about, because I know that you gave me some feedback on an episode I had where my dad was on.
Yes.
So you're a father now, and from everything I've seen, I think you're doing a damn good job.
Thank you, sir.
But you mentioned, kind of a bit of a frayed relationship with your father.
Well, I love my dad, but he's different than me.
Okay.
I mean, he's probably the greatest man I've ever known. Like, growing up, let me describe my father to you when I was a younger man. I'm sure you know who Tom Selleck is.
Oh yeah.
Now imagine if Tom Selleck was about 6'4" and about twice as muscular.
Okay.
I mean, he was always a man's man. He was a good man. But
did he have like shoe leather on his hands? Is he that kind of man?
Oh, his hands were like I mean, he could. I could tell some stories, but he was powerful. Like and naturally, just he was just a big, tough guy, and he was like a real man. I have nothing bad to say. I love my father. But we've just never, because I was like, I always felt like he was the Hank Hill and I was the Bobby Hill growing up. Because I was into film, I was into art, and that wasn't something for him. I didn't get into football. And but he still loved me. He was a great dad, but we never, and like all children, we want to impress our father.
Yeah.
Every son wants his dad to see him as a man.
Absolutely.
And, let me tell you. You want me to tell you a little tale? Let me tell you a little tale. This is a sad. It's a sad tale. It's a pretty sad tale. We're gonna go off topic.
Well, you know what? This is what Wine and Wisdom is all about, man. I'll say this about Wine and Wisdom. There's no bullshit. It's all truth. No. So whatever you want to say, it's an open forum for truth.
Have you ever done the right thing for the wrong reasons, or the wrong thing for the right reasons?
Yeah.
I was married once. I was dating a woman, very young. She was in her 20s, or I think she was 20, and I was like late 20s, early 30s. She was a cool chick, rock and roll punk chick. She had a mohawk at one point. We were kicking it. And the thing that happens between men and women, well, it happened. She got pregnant. So I said, hey man, I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm gonna marry you up. So we got married, and well, sometime I can't remember how long it was down the line, but ultimately we lost the baby. We went to a doctor's appointment. They said, hey, there's a problem with the umbilical cord, totally natural thing, but your baby's dead, and we're gonna have to go in, we're gonna have to do an induced labor, and you're gonna have a stillborn child. And that was the hardest day of my life. But I was the captain of the ship. I'm not opposed to crying. I love, we have to have emotions, and we have to release those at certain times, but sometimes you can't, especially if you run in the show. Yeah. You have to be that strong pillar, and as much the whole time I wanted to just lay down on the ground, kick my feet up in the air, curl up in a fetal position, and just, bawl, but I didn't. I held it in. And the time came, and it would have been a daughter. Jaden would have been her name. And at the end of that day was the first time my father shook my hand as a man, because I was able to hold it together. And it changed. Let me tell you something. It changed me as a human being.
Yeah.
Guy I was before I was told that, who went through that, is not the guy sitting in front of you. I don't know who he is. Because when you deal, and I can't imagine what a woman had to deal with going through a stillborn, or even miscarriage. Obviously the marriage didn't last. I wasn't man enough to deal. I was trying to deal with myself instead of her. I broke down, and I wasn't, and we're still friends, and she's doing wonderful in her life.
That's great.
But it was tough. It was a bad day, but it was also the best day. It was the worst day of my life, but that was the day my dad shook my hand as a man. And that's when I knew I was a man. And I ain't looked back since. And today I got 2 beautiful children.
Yeah, man.
All 10 fingers, all 10 toes, bro.
There you go, bro. Hey, you know what? You got me for a second. I appreciate you sharing that. you know,
yeah, I've never told that story before, actually.
Wow. Well, I feel.
I keep that one just for days when we're finishing the Lagavulin.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Obviously.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate you listening.
Tremendous amount of courage. Tremendous amount of courage to tell a story like that.
Not really.
A vital part of your being. So I feel.
No, I don't. It's just there. You know, it's just a part of me.
Yeah.
And you know, and like I said, it makes you a different person. And just like having kids, you know, you're not going to be the same person. Everything's going to change you. The worst day is going to change you, and the best day is going to change you. You know, someday you will. God willing, you're going to have some kids, buddy. And let me tell you something, it's going to happen. It will.
Well, you know what?
You don't get to decide. I thought I could decide.
Yeah.
You know, I was that guy. I was like, you know, I never had no kids. You know, I smoked so much dope in high school that my problems didn't work. Yeah. You know, and then you know, the universe decides when you're going to have them kids.
Right.
And it'll change. And once again, you don't have a choice in whether it changes you or not. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You will either become a better person or a worse person.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I've said this, that trauma and anything, obviously substantial in your life, difficulties that happen, you can either become bitter or better. And clearly you've used this to become a better person. And
absolutely.
And suffering is it's the worst thing that we all can experience. Is, you know, something like that is arguably the worst thing that could happen to a human. And the paradox of it, Chad, is it's also like the best thing.
Yeah. It puts so much in perspective. Like, you know, I don't get mad when I'm stuck in traffic. You know, that because like anybody, and not just the story, I got a billion of them. And as we all do, it doesn't matter. The silly shit, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you're right. That will completely, I don't know if this is a word, perspectivize your experience. It completely shifts what you think life was before. Completely.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, that changed, man. Because I held the baby, and you know, we're talking about the stillborn here, and it was, dude, it was rough, bro. Like I can't even describe how rough it was. Like, I thought I'd been through some shit. You know, I was like, tough guy, I can handle whatever.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah, it changes the way you look at everything. The way you look at life, the way you look at God, the way you look at the universe. And you know, it's like any tragedy, you're gonna get knocked down. And it's up to you to get up. I wish I would have been, you know, and I've apologized to her since then, I think. But I wish I was nice. You know, I wish I was better for her. You know, we never fought. We know, you know, I'm not a domestic violence guy. You know, I don't beat up women. I hate those motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
But you know, I shut down. It was the same with my kid's mom. You know, like the children I have today, we're best of friends. I love her, you know, as my baby's mama. You know, as the woman that had my kids. I don't, you know, and I wish the best for her. I don't desire her in a sexual manner at this point. I want her to, you know, fall in love and get remarried and do all those things. And, you know, because, you know, when you have those kids, that, you know, that's the thing that changes you. And like, after we had the kids, you know, in our relationship, it just kind of fizzled out. Like, it became, you know, what's the old joke about hallway sex? Where you just walk down the hallway and you say fuck you to each other and you go to separate rooms. Right.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So basically, God bless the women.
Yeah.
God bless the mothers.
Putting up with our bullshit.
No shit, because we suck.
Well, man, you know, it's interesting. Like you're saying, when you come across things in your life like that happen, there's a tearing of the veil, and like, everything you thought life was before isn't. And like I said, it puts everything in perspective. And when you go through something like that, you change clearly, obviously, but you come up to like a new identity. The man, like you said, the man that I'm looking at right now isn't that man.
It's odd thinking about the past. I mean,
it is. So when you encounter trauma and it smashes, it takes a hammer, right? Like a hammer to glass, and just smashes that identity. But the identity that then forms thereafter is so much stronger.
Oh, it's
so much more humble and so much more grateful.
This is the truth. Have you had that? Have you had your best worst day yet?
I've had a few. Yeah, I've had a few days in my life. A few.
You share, please.
Well, I was kind of touched on a few of these on previous episodes. But I will say,
Ooh, the father.
Well, a couple. So there's a few things that have happened in my life that have been really of a similar vein, that have caused a tearing of the veil, a breaking through. And I've mentioned on previous episodes, one of my students, 10-year-old boy passing.
Yes, I'm aware of. Yeah,
I had a girl that I was very much in love with and was definitely, close to marrying, that broke my heart, that smashed into a million pieces, cheated on me. And that was a tough one.
Oh, dude, bro, I went through that too.
Yeah.
The song that resonates, everybody plays the fool sometimes.
Yeah.
Bro. Yeah.
But that was a tough one. That was definitely a tough one. And then another one for me was my best friend passing away from an overdose. I was 23.
Okay.
20.
I think you did mention that in an episode, but you didn't really go into it too much.
So this is a story that would take. I would like to spend a whole podcast on. So I'll give you kind of a little bit of Reader's Digest version, because I feel like I owe it to you for for you.
Then give the man his podcast. Hold up, hey, I'm a fan, so yeah. No.
I will spend an episode maybe I'll just call it the trauma, and I'll go through in great detail. But essentially, Chad, my best friend, who it was crazy enough, we only knew each other for like a couple years, but it was like we'd known each other for lifetimes. You meet somebody and it's just like, holy shit, yeah, like we're kindred spirits. So he was going through a lot of things, but we bonded over everything. We saw each other pretty much every day because I was single. I was really training hard in martial arts. He was a martial arts fanatic for life. We bonded over Bruce Lee, everything.
Yeah.
And but he'd served in the military, was an Army Ranger, and basically he saw a lot of trauma. He had some severe PTSD. He was a medic, and there were soldiers that were burning alive in front of him that he had to stick IVs in. So he's seeing that, obviously trauma.
The horrors of war, I could imagine.
Yeah, and he was also a paratrooper, so he jumped out of planes, and there's a malfunction with his chute, and it deployed really late. So when he landed into the ground like this, his legs went up into his.
Oh, fuck.
So this is why I said this is like a whole episode. But anyways, and then a couple of personal things happened in his life that caused severe PTSD on top of that. So he, and I'm a young guy, and I don't know how to deal with somebody that's got PTSD when you're sitting having a few brews, and you're watching, some TV, and all of a sudden a grown man who is almost 20 years your senior is just breaking down crying, and you have no idea why. You don't know how to make it better, how to make it go away, what to do, what to say. He was battling a lot of demons, and eventually they overtook him.
They won.
But I take the solace in the fact that obviously there's no suffering anymore for him. But that shattered me, because I lost essentially what I felt was a part of me. And it was like taken too early. And what's around my neck that I wear every single day that you see right now is his necklace that he that he gifted me. We were really drunk one time in his apartment, and he just said, "Matt, I want you to have this. You were born in the year of the dragon, martial arts, and it's the legendary Chinese dragon. Bruce Lee was known as the dragon. This is for you. This is no longer mine." So he gave me this, and that's why I wear it every single day in honor of him. It makes me, you look down, and it's one of those, like, every day, just like a little bit of a nod every time I put it on. Like, I'm still thinking of you, buddy. And always, you feel the love is still there, because love transcends all time and space. But what happens is we get attached to the form of that person that love is conveying. Yeah. It's conveying in, and a lot of times when that form then leaves, we cling so much to that form. But when you can grieve openly and honestly in those quiet moments, man, that love, that form of love, that love is still with you. It's still there, no matter what. So yeah, that's kind of I will spend, I assure you,
man, that's something that I would love to hear the details. Yes,
I'll go into greater details, but that's kind of the
no, that's beautiful version. That's beautiful.
So, but dude, I'll tell you this, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And this,
bro, it's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and you're coming back.
Yeah. All right, yeah, man. I'm down. I got some wacky stories. I got something that'll make you laugh. I got something that'll make you cry.
Bring them for the next episode, man. And honestly,
I'm old enough to have stories all day.
Hey, cheers.
But I am a first-time caller, long-time fan.
Yeah, man. You brought it, dude. You brought it. We didn't, what's the Jim Rome show? You know what I'm talking about? They would say, like, bring it, don't have a take, don't suck. That's what it was. There you go. But anyways, you had lots of takes and they didn't suck. They were actually awesome and enlightening, and I grew. Hopefully everybody else grew while listening and or watching this. And of course, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and right here on YouTube. Please subscribe. Please leave a rating, review, tell a friend, tell 100 friends. Chad, it's been awesome having you on again, man.
Brother, it's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you opening up and sharing. That was very powerful, and your story's gonna sit with me for a long time, my friend. It will. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right, man. Till next time, my friend. All right.
Have a wonderful night, sir.
And all you guys, this has been Wine and Wisdom. See you next time.